Hey Bullets YouTube channel.
Hurry up, now tell us why you're here.
Lightning McQueen will start at pole position with Kyle Bushtire to his outside. Row 2 has Cal Weathers and Tony Gasworth to his outside. Row 3 has Kevin Carvick, who is second in points, with Jimmy Cables to his outside. Row 4 has the jumper Jeff Burnton and the rocket Ryan Newcar. Now onto row 5, where Kurt Bushtire, who shouldn't say a certain word, will start on the inside, and Jeff Gorvette on the outside. Row 6 has Bobby Swift, and on his outside, Brick Yardley, the winner of the 2008 Florida 500. Row 7 has Clint Bokar, who finished the 2007 Florida 500 on his roof, and Greg Beeple to his outside. Row 8 has Denny Carlin starting on the inside, and Jamie McCarry starting on his outside. Row 9 has Phil Tankson, who is very popular right now, and Juan Pablo Montoya to his outside. Row 10 has Carl Edwards and his former teammate, Mark Carton, who is at Chevrolet Motorsports. Row 11 has his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. and former teammate in the second division, Brad Keselowski. Another group of former teammates, row 12 has Mike Yankee Jr. and Casey Corner, who used to be teammates in the second division. Row 13 is Martin Carrix Jr. and Joey Lagurno, the mean orange car. Row 14 has Moy Clutchburn and Todd Marcus, who did not skip qualifying. Row 15 is Matt Karzith, who's once again way too far back, and Reb Meeker to his outside. Row 16 is David Raycar and Brick Hicks, who are both underperforming expectations. And row 17 is Ernie Gearson and Doug Throttleman. Row 18 has TG Castlenut and Samuel Serpentino, who has a rival. Row 19 has Terry Cargis and Jack DePost to his outside. Row 20 has Samuel Serpentino's rival Bogart Hopscotch and Chad Motorgas starting on his outside. Row 21 has Aston Reynolds and Buck Beeringly. I wonder what they're going to do. And starting in 43rd is, as usual, Chip Gearings. And, unfortunately, these 5 cars, which include David Rudikar for some reason, among many others, failed to qualify for this race. Lightning McQueen would lead for the first 19 laps of the race, but unfortunately, Aston Reynolds would be out on lap 9 because of an engine failure. Cal Weathers would take the lead on lap 19 and lead all the way until lap 53, where Jimmy Cables would take the lead from him. He'd lead until lap 71, but unfortunately, Kyle Bushtire is 11th as of lap 71, where he wrecks Casey Corner and Todd Marcus. Why? And Lightning McQueen is 1 lap down. Denny Carlin would take the lead after the restart and then lose the lead on lap 87 to Cal Weathers, who would keep the lead until lap 103, where Kyle Bushtire would take it from him, but lose it on lap 125. Ernie Gearson would be out on lap 106 because he got tired. Chad Motorgas would take the lead on lap 125 off of pit cycles, and Lightning McQueen would go down a second lap. Kevin Carvick would take the lead from Chad Motorgas and lead for 9 laps before Tony Gasworth would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 10 laps before Phil Tankson would take the lead from him. And on lap 144, Jeff Burnton would also jump over other cars. How? And Cal Weathers would take the lead the very next lap, leading all the way until lap 162, where the rocket Ryan Newcar would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 8 laps before Kyle Bushtire would be back in the lead for 32 laps. Bogart Hopscotch would be 38th as of lap 192, where he wrecks Samuel Serpentino. Of course he did that. And Mike Yankee Jr. would take the lead from Kyle Bushtire, leading for 5 laps, but Buck Beeringly would be out because of a damaged quarter panel on lap 208. Denny Carlin would take the lead after the restart and lead for 9 laps before Clint Bokar would take the lead from him. 100 feet later, Carl Edwards would take the lead from him and lead for almost the rest of lap 218 before Jamie McCarry would take the lead from him and lead into the next lap. But Kyle Bushtire would bump him into the wall to take the lead. Why? But on lap 227, Cal Weathers would retake the lead. But somehow, on lap 230, Jeff Burnton would jump over Jimmy Cables to take 10th position. and Clint Bokar would go down a lap on lap 233 on pit cycles. And Lightning McQueen goes down another lap at the same time. Mark Carton would take the lead after pit cycles would be done and lead until the next lap, where Denny Carlin would once again retake the lead on lap 234. But on lap 255, Brick Yardley would take the lead, and he'd lead for 8 laps before Kurt Busch-Tire would take the lead from him. He'd lead for 4 laps before Tony Gasworth would take the lead from himself, leading until lap 271. But Kurt Busch-Tire, don't say that word! And then Cal Weathers would take the lead from himself, leading for 2 laps, and Kurt Busch-Tire, don't say that word! And then his younger brother Kyle would take the lead from Cal Weathers. But 3 laps later, Cal Weathers would be back in the lead for 1 more lap before Kevin Harvick would take the lead from him, leading all the way until lap 289, where the Rocket Ryan Newcar would once again be back up front. But on lap 294, Denny Carlin would retake the lead, leading for 12 laps before Kevin Harvick would once again retake the lead for 6 laps before lap 309, where Denny Carlin would once again retake the lead. On lap 311, Bobby Swift would take the lead from himself off of pit cycles. But the next lap, Kyle Busch-Tire would take the lead from him, leading all the way until lap 327, where Jeff Gorvette would lead for the first time this race and lead for 10 laps before, of course, Cal Weathers would retake the lead, leading for 2 laps. But David Raycar would be 25th as of lap 339, where he wrecks Terry Cargis, why? And Reb Meeker would unfortunately go down the lap. And Ryan Newcar would take the lead after the restart, and 2 laps later, Denny Carlin would take the lead from himself, leading all the way until lap 375, where TG Castlenut would take the lead from him off of the last pit cycle. And then Denny Carlin would be back in the lead the very next lap, and he would take the white flag, and Lightning McQueen would be back on the lead lap with 10 laps to go, and he is 15th as of the start of the final lap. And what happens? He takes the lead! How does any car go from 15th to 1st in 1 lap? And this is not it. He wins the race! Lightning McQueen wins the 2010 Toe Cap 400. How? He was 15th when the lap began! The car he took the lead from, Denny Carlin, would finish 2nd this race. Kevin Harvick would finish 3rd, Cal Weathers 4th, and Tony Gasworth would round out the top 5. And here is the top 20 of the race, and Chad Motorgas finished 10th? How? Ahead of Kyle Busch-Tire as well. And Kurt Busch-Tire, who said the bad word twice, finished 13th this race. Unfortunately, the Rocket Ryan Newcar missed out on a top 5 finish. And Jack DePost would finish 20th, beating Matt Karseth, the 2003 Piston Cup champion. And Brick Hicks would be the last car to finish on the lead lap, finishing 34th this race, with Bogart Hopscotch right ahead of him. And Chip Gearing finished in the top 30. Good job. And how did Lightning McQueen not finish this race at least 1 lap down? How? He also dealt with most of this deficit under green. And here is the top 20 in points, where Lightning McQueen is still over 600 points ahead of Kevin Harvick in 2nd.
Remember to press the notifications button, which goes ring, ring, ring after you press it. And lightning strikes back, and that's as if you subscribed, of course. And thank you for watching this entire video.
Jamie McCarry once again falls out of the top 20, but Martin Karks Jr. would replace him in the top 20. And he even made his way up to 19th because Casey Corner finished 42nd this race. And Kurt Bushtire, please don't say that word! And his younger brother Kyle pushed Jamie McCoy. Why? And Matt Karseth still isn't leading any laps. And Jeff Burnton jumped over other cars twice. At least no one got hurt. And the next race, the 25th race of the 2010 Piston Cup season, will be coming out soon enough. Unfortunately, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine is still going on. It's been going on for over 6 months now, and the Ukrainian people are tired of war. They just want to live in peace and have freedom. But who stands in the way of this common dream? The tyrant and bully Vladimir Putin, who is not just bullying Ukrainians because he is taking away their territory, but he is also bullying Russians into fighting this war. This unjustified war. But the Ukrainian armed forces has made an advance onto the western bank of the Dnieper River, forcing the Russians to retreat behind it. And hopefully, the Ukrainian forces can retake the city of Kherson very soon. Hopefully sooner than the next YouTube video of mine comes out. And also, the territories of Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, the Zaporizhia Oblast, as well as the Kherson Oblast, need to be returned to Ukraine. The Russians illegally claim this territory. And we at the hashtag K-Bullets YouTube channel recognize the internationally accepted borders of Ukraine, as shown by this picture. And we will continue to stand with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini! Heroyam Slava! Нехай швидше дарується Україні перемога!